Are we ready? Okay. Okay, Abraham, so why in the hell is it taking so long?
Although we can feel that your lunchtime has distracted you a little. In other words, the moving through that is not quite in the same place.
Yeah. But you know what? It will be there again. It will come back to that at some point. You know, coming back to that same intention or that same intense feeling and that same desire, because like I was saying earlier, it's like I feel like I'm running two shows here. You know, it's like, how do you keep that fire, that passion burning all the time? And, you know, I get so good at it that I can dream it at nighttime, but then in the day, like I said, people are asking me, you know, how are you? And it's like what's new? And I want to spell out all this stuff that I feel like is there. I'm like living in two realities sometimes, but I can't really say it because it's not in my physical experience. So I'm not connecting quite.
But if you are really feeling it, it must be in your physical reality. And if it's taking longer than you want, it is always for the same reason. It is because you are noticing the absence of it more than you are anticipating the becoming of it. And we think that the reason for that is because you are like so many. You are sort of waiting for the manifestation before you really accept that it is real. In fact, we think your words speak to that really well. As you say, it's like I'm running two shows. I'm living in two worlds. There's my fantasy world where I'm able to make myself feel a certain way. And then there's my reality world that is quite different in some regards than my fantasy world. And we want you to realize that the whole reason for the manifestation is for the joy that you think it will give you when you get it.
Right.
But also, we would like you to even go further and begin saying the whole reason for the goal to begin with is because it gives you a life-drawing point of focus. In other words, it is the focus that you use as your excuse for the energy to flow through you.
Right. I can feel that.
We've offered many things over time to try to sort of talk all of our physical friends out of being so fixated on the manifested culmination, because we know that what slows you down more than anything is you're taking score and wondering why it's not happened. And we think the remedy is to focus upon the things that are unfolding. We touched on this a little bit earlier as we said the time to improve your health is by beating the drum of feeling a little bit healthy. And the time to improve your finances is by beating the drum in a moment that you feel a little bit flush or a little bit more prosperous than usual. And so it is the same way with all things. At a time when you feel a little more optimistic, that's the time that you're wanting to beat the drum of it.
I see.
Sometimes physical friends come to a gathering like this and they say, what can I do in order to achieve my goals? And we say, identify what you want and then talk about why you want it. Because we know when you think about what you want and why you want it, you're more likely to be a vibrational match to it. And then you say to us, well, Abraham, I do that much of the time, but my goals are not manifesting, some of them, as quickly as I would like them to do. What can I do to speed it up? And we say, it's an odd thing. You have to find that the way you speed up manifestation is by not noticing so much that it needs to be speeded up.
Right.
It's almost what you call a catch-22, because in the moment that you think about this thing that you want, if automatically it makes you say, what am I doing wrong, or what's taking so long, then you're right. You do have two opposing vibrations going on.
Right.
And so that's when we say, pet your cat, don't think about it so much, focus on some other things, do a little bit more that causes you to activate a vibration that feels better more of the time. But now we're approaching things a little bit more head on here today. And we're saying we want to take a known or discovered vibration and leave it in a better place. And so what words would you use to describe this feeling?
I would have to say the word would be frustration. It would be a frustrating feeling because I sense that it's there. I feel what I want around me.
We would say that it is close to frustration.
Yes.
We would call it, as we feel your vibration, discouragement, which is a little slower vibration. Right? It's a little different,
it is.
But so let's just go with our idea for a moment, and let's call it discouragement.
Okay.
it vacillates, but let's call it discouragement.
But that feels
so I'm
right.
discouraged that I've been making the effort.
Right, yeah.
I feel good a lot of the time.
I do. You're right.
Discouragement was a good choice, yes.
It was right. And I know I'm not that one exception in all of the universe. Or am I?
Yes, you are. You are that one. So as you are feeling discouragement, which is hard to do in the middle of all this fun, what feels a little better than discouragement? In other words, focus back on what you're discouraged about. What feels slightly better than discouragement?
Maybe frustration actually is a step above that, because
We agree.
Then I won't explain why. But yeah, I think frustration is just a little bit, it's a little bit lighter.
We agree. So focus there for just a moment, and then let's reach for something a little bit lighter still. So tell us for a moment why you feel discouraged.
Well, because I know that I'm happy. I know I live a good life.
It should be working for me. I'm doing all of the right things.
Yeah, exactly.
It should be working. I've got all my ducks in a row. I'm doing the things that I'm supposed to do. I'm positive much of the time. A bunch of things are going well. It ought to be working. Something's screwy with this thing.
Or it works when I go to sleep. It works in my dream state.
So now, tell us why it is frustrating.
Because it's not clicking into place, Abraham, during the day. It's clicking into place at night, but it's not clicking into place during the daytime.
It ought to be easier.
Yeah.
I ought to be able to apply what I'm doing more effectively. What's wrong with me? Are we touching anything?
Or why isn't the universe giving it to me when I'm doing all this stuff?
Well, blame does feel better than guilt. We agree. We do agree, and so
I rarely ever feel guilty about much.
We think that is a healthier stance. In other words, but we think that within that frustration is what should I be doing differently, and
it's true.
And what's missing? What's missing?
What am I not doing that I should be doing?
It isn't what you're not doing; it's what you are doing. In other words, it's that feeling that it ought to be easier, or that there's something missing somewhere, or that Esther remembers her mother made this fabulous recipe. They called it in their family luscious potatoes, and it was potatoes and cheese. It had a whole bunch of ingredients, and Esther had never made it, but her mother always made it when they went to her mother's house. And one day Esther asked for the recipe, and her mother sent the recipe, and Esther made luscious potatoes, and they were not nearly as luscious. And Esther was certain that her mother deliberately left something out of the recipe so that Esther would not make as luscious of potatoes as her mother did. And when Esther got to her mother's recipe, she found that her mother had given her the exact recipe. Why it didn't turn out the same, Esther was never able to explain, but she still holds her mother responsible. There is this feeling. It feels like when you intend for it to be a way, and when you really mean it, and when you're trying really hard, it seems that it should just be that way. And that's the point of your frustration. And so then you hear Abraham babble on and on, year after year after year after year, about everything happens in absolute response, and you are not the exception to the universe. And so your frustration is about recognizing that I must be doing something that I don't know what it is. There must be something missing for me, something that I don't understand, or something that I'm not applying. Now, we're really not, hear what's going on here. We're really not feeling around and trying to get the universe to deliver to us the secret to your success. Because we know the secret to your success. It's feeling good. What we're feeling around for are some thoughts that feel a little better than some thoughts that feel a little better some thoughts that feel a little better. And so far we've just sort of been stirring the pot and making it worse. But in this, we've stirred up some things. And so now, what would feel a little better than this feeling that the universe is holding out on you, or that you aren't doing it quite right? What's a thought that feels just a little better than that?
Well, the thought is that I can let go and focus on other things.
And you do it all the time. And there are many areas of your life where it is working very well. And when you compare your life to many others around you, you notice how really good your life is. Now, doesn't that thought feel better?
It does.
And now, you might have been able to get to that thought without all of the trouble that we went to getting there. But we think you've come to that thought, and we think that it truly is a sincere vantage point. So now we're there, beat the drum of that a little bit. In other words, let's make sure that this newfound vibration that we have spoken and you've spoken, let's make sure that it is a place that you can hold for a little bit. So emphasize that now for a little while. Beat the drum of that.
So I know that I can come to a place of feeling really good about things and focusing on other things, and I can focus on the wonderful people in my life. I can focus on my amazing connection to my source.
So we're off the subject a little bit, because the subject that you're wanting to soothe is, I can take any object of desire and bring myself to vibrational alignment with it so that any desire can be manifest. And so you're not wanting to get too far into other subjects. In other words, let's talk about things you want from this newfound hopeful place.
Okay. So I can look around myself and see how attracted people are to me, how much love is in my life, how much I love.
All that's true, and it does make you feel better, but it's still off the subject enough that it's not really shifting this subject. This subject is, there's something I don't get, and there's something that I'm not getting right that's keeping me from something that I want.
Okay,
so let's stay there and try to find the thought that feels a little better than that.
Okay.
Sometimes I do get it.
Well, yeah, I do. Yeah. Sometimes I do get what I want. I'm not going to say the rest of that sentence, because it doesn't seem like it's in that area. But I mean,
just beat the drum of this a little bit.
Okay, so
you're reaching for something that feels moderately better than frustration.
Okay. All right. Well, okay, often I do have manifestations of things that are good, that I can focus on. That things are going well for me.
There have been things that I've wanted that seemed like they weren't going to happen and then did.
And then they did.
For example.
Well, there are examples, Abraham.
For example.
Okay. Well, maybe it was a smile from someone, or maybe it was a manifestation of some work aspect, or...
I can't really think of anything right now.
No, but there are things that occur. There are things that manifest.
There have been things that I have wanted.
Yes.
That I have not had when I first wanted them.
That
now I have.
Yes.
For example.
Yes. For example, being with a particular person that I never thought I would be with before. That's a good example for me.
Beat the drum of it.
Yeah. And also my own self and how I see myself now.
Go back to the first one, and emphasize that.
Okay, so attracting into my life someone that I never thought I would have attracted
and
before.
And I remember looking and wondering, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? And now I don't wonder that anymore. In other words, now that has happened.
Right, yeah.
So
that was a big step.
What you're doing here, do you feel what you're doing? You're taking the subject that has been causing you such discomfort, and you've brought it out into the open, and you are speaking to yourself from a place of true knowing that statement that it's taking too long for things to come, or that they don't come at all, is not a true statement, because here's an example right here in your own life experience that says other than that.
Right. Well, and another good thought is that when I am in the state that you speak of, I do see, it's like I have the glasses on to see all these different, it's like my friend Connie says, it's like driftwood. There are manifestations that show that things are unfolding as they should be.
It's great fun to watch you, because very often someone will sit in the chair and they'll have some great dilemma, and as we chew, they sort of vibrate right out of it, and then they start expressing, and it almost feels like an entirely different person now sitting in the chair. It was sort of like, why were you taking us through all that trouble to begin with when you so easily moved through it, you see? And that's the way all of this begins to feel. You will wonder in time why you were ever making such a big thing about why it's taking so long, and you will then begin to start savoring how long everything takes. In other words,
because the joy is in the journey. Is that what you're saying? It's really that feeling.
That's what we always say. We love hearing it from you, however.